everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the KickBack. You're with me, as usual, AlehStair. If you do like what you're seeing from us, hit like, hit subscribe. And this is episode 6, and this is definitely episode 6. The previous two episode, what I said is episode 5 is episode 4. What I said is episode 4 will be episode 5. But you'll know that by now. This will be episode 6. We switch it around. Today, we have a guest in the city who I'm quite excited about. Somebody who I stumbled across maybe a couple of weeks back, and I instantly fell in love with the streams. It's as known on Twitch as the BigManOnCampus, but all of his friends at the BigManOnCampus 88, I should say. Let's not send people the wrong way. As his friends call him, like myself, we know him as Chuck. Chuck, how are you doing today, my man?
Good, I'm glad to be here. Yeah. What?
It's good to have you in, man. I'm excited to hear to have the conversation with you because, again, we'll go into it later on in the show, but I came across your stream and it is top quality for someone who I don't think's been in the FM space particularly long. With regards to maybe some of the other guests that we've had on here, I mean, you seem to be taking it by storm right now. You've got some really good friends who are already sort of established in the community, but we'll get into all that later on, because that'll be the juicier end of the conversation. We'll save that to the end. But in the first off, I want to ask just the question that we ask everyone when they first come on. What was the moment for you that you saw something to do with football? Could be playing yourself, witnessing, a game for the first time, anything like that, that just first off captivated you and drew you to the sport?
Yeah. I find out that easily throughout my time that, video games and a lot about my life kind of interweave with each other, including sports. I was always a sports guy, I thought to be, but then as I really look back at myself, it was kind of a tie, and I interweaved myself with gaming. My first soccer game and one of my early sports games was World Cup '98.
Yeah.
Which I played the PlayStation version. I even got the N64 version, which wasn't as good as the PlayStation version, but I enjoyed it a lot. And I actually got, as I remember it now, I remember renting different soccer games from this old Hollywood Video, which is kind of like a rental place.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Blockbuster. Stuff like International Soccer in 64, which was sort of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, that passion grew out 3 years, became a Newcastle fan / Bayern fan / Valencia fan. I'm a fan of many teams. So overall, and it just really grew into that point where I was connected with video games and really had a sense of, that really grew me into being a big soccer fan. But also I love college football, college American football, and American football in total. But it always connected back to gaming. So the short version is video games.
Nah, and I'm with you on that one to some degree. I know, I obviously grew up a Manchester United fan because of my dad, and I saw the sort of, I've talked about the moment that got me into watching football, but what really got me in was games. I think 10 years after you, maybe, because the first game I really fell in love with was FIFA 08.
Oh wow, yeah.
Playing on that, yeah. I think I'm a little bit younger than yourself, but that was the first game. I got it as an Eid gift off my auntie, and I used to just bust out all day, so I can remember that. I can relate to that even. But you said you were a Newcastle fan.
Yeah.
That can't be the easiest. That can't, especially when you're not from Newcastle. You have the whole world to choose from, or the whole of England, because you have teams everywhere. Why Newcastle?
So it goes back to high school, and I was really starting to get into the sport a bit more. Like I said, I got all the World Cup games, but I started to look into more of the FIFA games, kind of like the FIFA World to World Cup games. And I was like, I want to look into the sport a little more. And there was this article on this site called ESPN, and talking about choose a team, and here's all the teams they listed, all the Premiership teams. I was almost a Spurs fan. I was almost a Spurs fan through that article, and then I saw Newcastle. It was at the time they were making their UEFA Cup run, Shay Given, and the Toon Army, and it just magnated towards me, and I became a Newcastle fan in England ever since.
I mean, like between Newcastle and Spurs, I don't think your decision making or your choices in sport a little bit questionable when it comes to the English
Look,
teams.
at least we're not Blunderland. I mean, at least that's the very least we're not, and I'm cool with that.
Nah, it must be good seeing what they're up to. What do you think about Newcastle season? Obviously, time of recording, they haven't played yet. Manchester United just beat Leeds 5-1, get in. But obviously, Newcastle, we haven't seen them. What do you think this season? I think it could be going down, but at the same time, you've got Wilson up top.
At the same time, we do. I think overall, I think the team hasn't changed much. We added a guy for like 25 million. I forgot his name.
Joe Willock, isn't it?
Joe Willock. Yes, there it is. Yeah, it was. I was like thinking, okay, this guy. Who else? And I haven't heard much else. And overall, just trying to make sense of that is, I think we're going to be another relegation battle, but
yeah,
I think Steve Bruce, he's used to these things in weird ways. I think he's going to find a way to have us to be mediocre again, and that should barely keep us up. Of course, we want to get to the next level, but with an owner like Mike Ashley, what can you do? What can you do? We have Mike Ashley as our owner still. Yeah. Today.
Well, I mean, what are you Bruce in, Bruce out? Which side of the fence are you on?
I haven't really had anything against Bruce. Like, honestly, he's doing what he can. I think overall Newcastle it goes down to like we need a new owner and stat. I know we were about to get the Saudis, and that was. You have a weird franchise where you kind of, for once, rather could have just kept Mike Ashley as owner than the Saudis. Especially the Saudi prince, which had a rough he has a rough history behind him, to say the very least.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, not him. Anyone else would be great. Almost anyone else with a nice background, better than what we were given. But overall, it goes to the very top. I think at this point, with all the consistent failures that this ownership has given this base, this very, very proud base, this Toon Army who's been there, going to the park week in, week out, supporting the Magpies. I just think overall it just needs new management, new top management, like just a new owner overall to take this team to a new day. And it just needs that mainly. So I'm not really on the manager as much as I have to say at this point we got to go towards new ownership and just get towards someone that could really help bring this team back to prominence.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I've always had a soft spot for Newcastle, and we've talked about it previously in your streams that if I could choose a club without bias, you can't look much further than Newcastle United. And I almost feel like Steve Bruce is a little bit of a scapegoat for Mike Ashley. Like if you keep when Rafa was at the club, there was nowhere Mike Ashley could really escape. Because the fans were so on Rafa Benitez's side, the city loved him, and that all the attention could then go on to Mike Ashley. When you have someone like Steve Bruce in, everyone's going to rip into him and hate him for his tactical prowess and his defeatist mentality that is often portrayed in the fan base. And I feel like it just lets Mike Ashley get off a lot more lightly than he should be getting off.
Exactly. And you almost think that this hire was kind of planned so people would get off his back for once. Like, oh, okay, we don't, like, think about this. Like, what Benitez has done throughout the years to get to a point where we were right there on being a legitimate team, and then he leaves to China.
Yeah.
What? And then after all that breaking down, we get Steve Bruce, and some way, somehow, you don't hear much Mike AlehStair after that. What? Just like, we don't need to end it here. This is to the top. This is to the owner. This is almost insane how weird that was. And I just think like Mike Ashley deserves as much of the blame to this, more of the blame, because it's all been consistently on him. The second reading the key, the second lead of Keegan, the failure of Shearer, the embarrassing losses, notably to being one of the having one of the few wins that Derby County, one of the worst teams that year in the Prem, have.
I think it was our only win.
Like, bruh. Like, this is, you gotta really see within deep, like, the three-headed owner, the three-headed management of the sporting directors. Just so many cooks in the kitchen. It's all on Ashley, yo. And it's just, there's just not enough. There's like, I don't know, like, we were starting to get there truly, but it's like the fan base got so frustrated with it, they just decided to go to someone that is out there more talking, and that was Bruce. And like, we can't give up on that, yo. Get this man out of our team. Sell this team and move on to another bad decision you will make, because you know to make bad decisions, except on for some reason Sporting Direct. Like, I remember hearing about a department store that you seemed to just took that to the ground as well. Like, and it's just, I mean, just get him out of there.
I think with his other business ventures, we can see that he's someone who's clearly interested in his own financial gain rather than the betterment of the organization he's supposedly working for. So yeah, I think we could talk about how much of an arsehole Mike Ashley is all day, to be honest.
He's just... Anyway,
moving on. So I'm curious, because obviously in the US it's rare to have people who actively played as well from the US people that I know. Someone I work with, Stick Piano, as far as I'm aware, didn't really play. I'm going to tell you this now, but the episode's not out yet, so keep it a secret. Zealand, for episode 4, he did play as a goalkeeper, but he seems to be the only one. What about you? Did you really play any real football? None of that American football shit. Actual football, when you were growing up? Did you have a favorite position or anything like that?
So my time in football was... My time in mainly sports, when I was younger, was mostly defined by not really playing, but more being like equipment manager. And I tried. And okay, I'm sorry, has to go to American football real quick, but it does connect.
Okay, go on.
I did try to actually play a sport, which was American football, as a lineman. But I had like a heart murmur, so I wasn't able to truly do it. I had to quit the team. I decided to be instead one of those a water boy, equipment manager, helping out with the team and stuff. And that's kind of where it stuck to me, and I kind of enjoyed it. Helping out the team, getting equipment. I was also a stats guy, getting stats for the games, and that included soccer. I did that for basketball as well in high school, and soccer. And I was closer to the soccer team almost a bit more than my other teams.
Yeah.
I actually, I scored my only goal in a somewhat soccer game while playing with my high school soccer team in practice. It was a weird looking roundhouse kick like shot that just was the slowest floater you will ever see. Bounced down, up past the keeper, back of the net. It was it was a proud moment in my life, and as you see, but overall, like for most of my time, I was really mostly a fan and a person that wanted to deeply get involved. And then throughout my years later, when I was getting in college and trying to get in college, really was like, trying to find a way to get involved in sports, but just as a sense of the behind the scene.
Okay. So, I mean, that's a bit of an approach that we haven't seen on this sort of podcast yet. Somebody taking that sort of behind the scenes and almost, I guess, I mean, can we say data analyst approach with you bringing in the stats like you did?
I mean, I took the stats. I didn't mean I gotten them. Like, I was just doing what the coach told me to do when it comes to that sense. So, yeah, it was just overall me just doing what I can to help the team out. That was, I guess, my hashtag team playerism in a way.
Fair. Well,
go ahead.
That translates well into what you're doing now. Obviously, you're streaming on Twitch, and as far as I'm aware, you work within eSports, don't you, as well, Chuck?
Yes, I am the assistant director of eSports and programming at Eastern Michigan University's Rec-IM, which is a recreation center for students at Eastern Michigan. And I was been doing that for 2 years now. First as a grad assistant heading the program, and then they offered me a full-time job to head the program overall.
So what sort of insights does that give you in sort of the gaming world from that competitive side? Because, we have our draft premiership as competitive as it comes, I'm sure, but obviously you must be on a completely different wavelength when it comes to that sort of insight.
I mean, before then, I was doing youth esports with kids and helping out kids understanding the industry itself in New York City, where I'm from. And this is as west as I've ever been. Like, I've never been out this west before, so this is just still new to me. And but like, I've always had a longing interest in gaming and competitive gaming. Even back to my high school years, I wanted to get into Call of Duty. That's what I really come from. But Call of Duty and Halo first, but then I remember Major League Gaming and saw some of the things they were doing. It's like, I know I can't do that. What am I doing? I tried to go to a Major League Gaming event as well, but I had grandparents. They're too old to go up to Washington, D.C. from Richmond, Virginia. That's like 4 hours. They're too old to do that. So, and they didn't understand, which, I care about I cared about them, but, I just never really had an opportunity throughout my younger years until it was 2016 and I was about to finish college, and I was trying to see where I wanted to go with my life because, I had stints in traditional sports. Like I said, I was equipment manager for my college, and I had aspirations to coach American football for many years, where I was a volunteer for different collegiate football programs. But I also was a equipment manager for my alma mater's LIU Brooklyn's basketball program, as well as the baseball program. And I even worked for the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA for a little bit as an intern.
Okay.
Yeah. Working arena operations. And throughout those years, I still kind of never really got into traditional sports. I had tried a bit, but I never really gotten that opening opportunity. Then eSports and Twitch came into play, and it changed everything. I first started as a Twitch mod, and actually a Twitch person that watched Twitch a lot, especially this Call of Duty player named Karma, who is right now the only man to win 3 Call of Duty World Championships on LAN. Where there is other players that won 3 titles, but the last Call of Duty Championships was online. So he's still the only man to do it on LAN. And I've been involved in this chat, turned out to be a mod, and overall really helped garner the community that he currently has to this day. And he's a great guy. He's been great to me. Community has been great to me as well. And it helped me as a mod for him throughout the years transfer over what I can do to other communities throughout Twitch as a mod. And then down the line, help me even give me under better understanding of what the esports culture was, and got to this point working being a mod for Zealand, and working towards seeing what esports can really go for, and my current job today. And with the youth stuff I've done, which includes working in creating a youth league for kids in esports through NBA 2K and FIFA, in down in New York City through different schools, got me to help me towards Eastern Michigan and turning that into assistant director's position that I have today.
Okay, so I guess what are the so I mean you're helping transform a whole variety of different genres when it comes to the sort of Twitch element and transforming them into more of a product, I guess, in that regard, or like maybe in that sort of business sense as well. What is it that's similar between them? What sort of strategy is there that you've noticed that enabled you to do that?
Overall, just like to be able to get to be like to help out these streamers, like being involved in their community, know what they, being like in these communities I am legitimately interested in. Like I love Zealand's community that I've got involved in, and I currently try to help out some of the mods who stream, such as Kane, and other parts of communities that really, in a way I could see opportunity within to really help. And I like helping. That's kind of the essence of all this. I like to help. And if you really want to get the help, I'm trying to do what I can. And overall, that kind of really followed me as a lot as well, because of the way I help the job I had with the youth, helping kids get connected towards org owners, tournament organizers, players. I had a Rainbow Six player come in and talk to the kids once. Guy ended up being one of the bigger pros in the scene, and he ended up coming in, talk to the kids. I didn't know at the time he just turned 18 to play pro in the first place. So these middle schoolers weren't as far from him in age than I thought. It was insane. I didn't know that. Like, whoa, wait a minute, you're 18? Yeah, like wow. Okay. So that's where I first kind of noticed how young these kids were getting. And then, of course, now we're down the line where there's like top pros such as Clicks and Fortnite and other FIFA pros as well. Dylan Mike, at one point, Tekker, Tex. Winning big money FIFA tournaments at 15, 16. Yeah. And, just overall, it was getting younger. And really, one of my biggest things I wanted to do was be able to help in a way with youth in the space to get better with the space. Yeah. Have a sense of, I wouldn't say so much of professionalism, but have an understanding that they have a brand for themselves and they represent themselves as a brand, and they could do better with that for themselves, for their futures. Yeah. And that's why I've done with the youth in that sense to help with that and to show some of the sides of esports that they can get involved in as well, just not as well as more than just playing. That also shows them those sides. I remember a 12-year-old telling me during that class, like, hey, could you help me out with a little bit? And I looked at it, it's like he had a YouTube, he had a Twitch, he was playing Smash, he was playing GTA. It's like, wait, cheats, what are you doing? It's just, but I told him, like, not just the things to avoid doing on Twitter, but some of the things that can help him on Twitter as well to grow audience, because he really wanted to do that. Yeah. So
I guess it's important for the young guys as well, because even me right now, if I was involved in sort of those big money prizes, I'm assuming there are companies and managers just circling around these young guys like vultures, because they know how naive that you are at this age. Even now, at this age, I think if I was to have that experience, I'd be very naive and I'd probably end up losing a lot of the capital that I earned. So I guess that's quite an important thing to do for these young guys. And it's good to see that you're on their side. I'm assuming you'll have seen firsthand the sort of effects that the vultures can have on such a young and impressionable audience.
Not firsthand, but I've always read up stuff by Richard Lewis about contracts that were very shady, that was too team-sided to the point where they have these low salaries comparable to the $100,000 buyouts that these teams would want to give other teams interested in the player to be able to get a new to get to a different team. And it gets so ridiculous at one point where they just, feel like they're just it's predatory. And that kind of goes back on why I kind of, I was big into FIFA at one point. I was playing as much FIFA as I can, but now I also noticed how predatory EA could get on their own right, to a point where I almost can't really support FIFA like I used to. And just like, because I had a 13-year love with FIFA.
Yeah.
It gone back, like, since, like, when you said your first game was FIFA 08, my first real game of really saying I want to get deep into this was FIFA 07.
Yeah.
I was playing the World Cup games, of course. It was like on and off. It wasn't exactly, because I was focused in other games like NCAA football and Madden.
Yeah.
But then really getting into the FIFA series, there was this online career mode leagues. And I loved those to death. Like, those things on Xbox was amazing. And I was really focused on really being good as I can. I remember the one time, like, the only time I remember winning was early in my career was like FIFA 360.
Yeah.
Because, and the competitors was on the 360, but yet the FIFA Interactive World Cup was sold by Sony. So they had the Interactive World Cup only on PlayStation.
Yeah.
That was so frustrating. And it was like, you know what? I'm not even going to deal. I'm just going to keep with my Xbox. We're competitive here. And it was fun. But then Foot happened. And then those Ultimate Team with those loot boxes and those cards, and it got ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it got very unfortunate to the point where kids were stealing other parents' credit cards to pay $1,000 just to try to get a Messi, where the best they could get is a Lewandowski.
Yeah.
I remember someone putting a database of a whole year worth of FIFA transactions and putting in FIFA points, FIFA packs from small packs, small gold packs, all the way to mega packs.
Yeah.
The highest they got was a 90 Lewandowski. Let that sink in.
It's such a.
He was looking for a Ronaldo, a Messi, a legend. The highest overall they got was a 90 Lewandowski.
It's so shady. I still can't believe that Ultimate Team packs are a thing, because I've never seen anything as addictive as gambling. I remember I was buying a second-hand Xbox 360 one time. My dad was buying it for me, and we went to this guy's house. And my dad asked him why he's selling it, and he said, my girlfriend found out that last month I'd spent £600, which probably back then would have been close to $1,000 on FIFA packs. And she said it's either me or it. And that's how I got a really cheap Xbox. It was great for me, but there's so many examples like that, not only in the UK, but worldwide. I cannot believe that it's still something. I know countries like the Netherlands have tried to clamp down on it a bit, but I can't believe that it's still a recurring theme, and it not only does it make the game worse, because there's other aspects of the game which are put on the back burner because they're not the money makers. That's from a sort of player standpoint. From a moral standpoint, it's so fucked up.
And it just, like you said, it made other aspects of the game worse. And it's not even just the modes, the gameplay felt even more. For many years I didn't believe in scripting. I thought, people putting out scripting as like something that people whine about losing. But then just seeing how predatory these, loot boxes and these FIFA packs can be, and then really starting to see how rubber banding can really go so far. It just makes me think maybe they have a point. And this is another way of them telling you that, hey, okay, maybe your team's not good enough. Maybe you need a left back. Go get yourself an Alaba in the packs. Like, what are we doing here? What in the world are we doing here? And it just feels all types of wrong. And overall just makes me iffy about the whole system.
Well, this is why we hate FIFA.
Yeah.
And I guess that brings us to the other football game, which is how I obviously know you from Football Manager. When did you get? How long have you been playing the game? How long? When was the first copy that you got?
So it still connects to FIFA because FIFA 15 was like my last good FIFA that I liked and put a lot of time into, that I really enjoyed. I mean, I put a lot of time to FIFA at that time, still all the way up to 19. But then 16 came out and it was a bleep show. Like, just horrifyingly bad. Like, just everything about it. Online was terrible. The gameplay felt just stupid. I was in the Ultimate Team. That's when I started first really noticing somewhat of these things, but I'm still naive to it, sort of.
Yeah.
I would just focus a lot on the gameplay. And I just, I was getting to a point, this FIFA is so bad. I need something else. I need a better career mode because I love career mode. That's my favorite mode on FIFA. And all sports games, I love a great career mode. That's why I always wanted to be a general manager, or what you guys call over there a sporting director.
Yeah.
Is because I grew up playing stuff like NCAA football, where that, again, it connected to me wanting to be a coach, wanting to, build teams, team building, I love team building.
Yeah.
And so around 2015, I was at a friend's house and I looked at this thing called Football Manager. And it's, let me give it a try. I tried a little bit of what EA did with their FIFA manager, and I was like, wasn't very good. Like, all the way back, like years before.
Yeah.
But then Football Manager, and I tried it, I was hooked. And it's just, I really liked it. But then life happened, and I wasn't able to get many other Football Managers all the way up to, I wasn't able to get any Football Manager games all the way up till 19.
Yeah.
And then I got a chance with my new job. It was stability in my life. So I was like, I can actually sit down and focus on the game. And I put hours on the game. I mean, as I look up my thing right now.
I'm too embarrassed to talk about mine, man. I swear I drop another $1,000 every year.
Some context. I love 19 so much, I skipped 20. But
okay,
my total play time was 3,251.5 hours on Football Manager 19.
That's a lot of time, man.
My current time on Football Manager 21 is 1,367 hours. We're not even in November yet.
Yeah. We're hitting 2K, baby.
But yeah, overall, it's like, that's really got me back into it. And then I saw Zealand and his videos. And, I was also big into Football Manager YouTube. Dr. Benji and Second Yellow Card was early on in 15. And then I watched a few others, like Work to Space. I really liked with his Park Prem. And then as well as a couple of others on and off. And, Zealand really sucked me back in a way. Because I remember the first video I watched is Football Manager Hard, because I was going through a tough time in Football Manager, and I just wanted to know that yes, it is very hard. It is a very hard game. Okay, I'm not going insane here, because I was going through a losing streak, and I didn't know I was getting fired or not, and it was and then I watched all his other videos, and then I saw my first Zealand stream was one of those live sports save. It was so unique at the time too, because I was big into Ben, and I watched his streams for a while too, and but I wasn't really involved in the community. I was just a watcher in Football Manager. Zealand was the first real FM community I really dig myself deep into, and it was lit to a point where, you know what, I want to really get involved and help out. And all months later, I was a mod. Well, I am a mod. So, and one of the big parts of it was helping Mombot out, and that's where it connects back to my modding experience.
Yeah.
Where Mombot would one of the first things I did was help out Mombot on this command stuff. What she needed with Twitch, and she's great. She's amazing.
I've seen her in a few streams. She's a top banana.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's a mod in my stream. She wanted to mod my stream. It's I'm honored. I'm honored. Mombot is the best. and I helped her out with some modding stuff, and I kept doing that. And then all of a sudden, Ayal, who's another great person, just said, hey, interested in modding for us? And I took a week to be a part of the community a little bit, answering questions in the Discord, and all of a sudden I was a mod. And haven't really looked back at it since, because it exposed me so much to this crazy cool community. Another crazy cool community I was involved in.
No, it's pretty good to see. Obviously, you seem to be building that sort of reputation for yourself as a guy who's willing to put others maybe first, and help to build a really good community. And that brings us on to your Twitch channel. I can't remember how I found it. I'm not sure. I just went in there and I saw this dude, and he was the most high energy vibing guy I'd ever stumbled across, which sometimes it's rare. Do you know the amount of FM channels I'll go on and my guy's just sat there like this, not responding to chat, and there's 40-50 guys in there, and I'm like, what is going on here? I don't see it. But I instantly with you thought, this guy's onto something. When did you start streaming in general? And I guess the caveat to that is, when did you start going more into FM? Because I know you said you streamed other things, but since I've been following, I haven't watched you stream anything else.
So I am interested in streaming other games. FM just but FM stuck onto me. Yeah. Especially this save. So my first sets of streaming was actually all the way back around 2017.
Okay.
But it was small. I was it was when I was still into FIFA. So I did FIFA streams here and there, and it got me nowhere. And mainly because I enjoyed playing a little bit still somehow, but at the same time I was just it was off my Xbox. Yeah. So it was I was streaming off my Xbox, and I didn't really get much traction through it, and it was I don't know, I don't know if I went at it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Well, sort of did, because it got me nowhere at that time, but I in a way I wanted to go after it and see where it goes, and it didn't really get me anywhere.
Yeah.
But down the line, years later, around 2020, I slowly did other streams. I did a Football Manager 19 save while Football Manager 20 was still out. that was crazy. But I told myself, I'm gonna do a bit more for 21. Yeah. And it was a slow start. Actually, my first save I had in 21 was a Swiss save with FC Tune. That ended in a funny failure. I didn't even survive the first season. And I moved to a team in Liechtenstein, and after a crazy season where I lost in the final in the Liechtenstein Cup, I find out that it's actually rough to get out of that league in the first place.
Yeah.
So I stopped streaming for a bit, focused on my job as well, and I came back to it for actually kind of some. It was okay. I was in many more different communities.
Yeah.
And this is what the best part about me. And I wanted to meet these other people in different communities and just really come to my stream and vibe out.
Yeah.
And so when I restarted it, I did different games to just really enjoy myself. Just enjoy playing video games with friends and talking to friends and vibing to it. And then, I said, let me get this one team thing a try. Because I had successful saves as a journeyman. Yeah. Not exactly as a one team. So Monza really attracted me to that.
Yeah.
And, I said, give this one team save a try. I did it. And it just, I don't know how in the world it just grew from there. But, I was enjoying the save. I was enjoying my music. I was just, enjoying the people around me. Yeah. And again, that's what makes I think I have one of the most unique FM chats.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you that.
I have the most unique chat in the FM community. because FM Twitch community because of how many people that come in there not from FM.
Yeah.
Like my mod guy named Roger, I know him from Karma, Call of Duty. Like he barely knows soccer. He's barely getting into it. Another one too, and then I have a couple of people I know from another part of the community that was mostly into Valorant.
Yeah.
And not even knowledgeable of like Football Manager, and they knew the sport, but they weren't into it.
No.
They came to my chat a lot, and again, this is showing of me being involved in so many different communities. Yeah. And that melting pot, I like to say, of different communities coming onto my chat and talking to me, talking to other people within the community. And I also have a lot of cool women that comes involved. Glowing Miss Jerry, she's has a great time teasing me about Esposito and being involved with it too, like getting her. But overall, just like. And then, and it's Genesis who was my first emote editor that gave the PP's emote. And that emote, now I can't escape because Henry FM uses it too. He fell in love with that emote through my stream. And just uses it in his, and it's just if Zealand takes this emote on, I'm not.
It's just game over.
No. Fortunately, IL said nope. You're smart man, IL, because I can't escape it. If I take that emote off, it will be a riot. It will be a riot in my stream. But overall, it's just that melting pot of different people from different communities coming together, wanting to see this stream, wanting to enjoy the vibes. Yeah. Which is, it's nice to see.
Well, it's one of them. I don't think you watch a streamer for what they're playing necessarily. Like, you'll discover a streamer because of what they're playing, because they'll have your interests, but you'll keep watching a streamer because of the streamer themselves. So I think you got to give yourself a lot of credit for that. Your stream's always entertaining. You're always howling, laughing over little things, but it's good. Like, it's such an entertaining spot. Your chat's really active, and there's a lot of guys who are established in the community who I've seen there, such as Henry, Scooter as well. I've seen in there. I've seen Conriddle in there, and I've seen Zealand's mother in there as well, which can only be a good thing when it comes to the community itself. How I mean, you're saying a lot of these guys aren't aware of Football Manager, or as you coined it, soccer, which is wrong. But they're staying for a reason, right?
Look, we're not the only country, darn it. Australia and Canada does it as well.
Yeah, but they're bearable in other ways.
True, understood. Yes, I remember what goes back to like the FIFA 360 days, being the only American, or like a part of like one of the few Americans, but just being the only American that people liked playing with me. Because the other ones they felt like were total assholes. It's like, oh my goodness. Like, yes, big man, you have a bad connection, but we keep you around because you're a nice guy than others. I was like, okay.
Thanks, I guess.
Thanks, I guess. It's just.
Now we'll take it.
I'll take it, I guess. I tried it. I try. So I know I mess up sometimes.
When did you start doing the Monza save? Because that's the one I think everybody sort of knows you for. How long's that been going?
I want to say about 3 months so far. Right before I went to be affiliate.
That's crazy. 3 months ago, you were going for affiliate. And now, obviously, I'm seeing you every time I go into your chat. When you're just starting off, there'll be around double figures viewers. As the night goes on, there's always anywhere between 20 and 30. That's pretty good growth for someone who's been affiliate for about 3 months. Yeah.
And, as well, it's like, I also did, Dr. Benji was in my chat too, and as well as Zealand. Like Zealand was in there for a different game, Anno 1800. I played a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
And at one point, and people were enjoying those. So yeah, it kind of goes to the point of like, people enjoyed the vibes that I give, and I just want to be able to have chill, good vibes with people. I enjoy this. Enjoy this. This is at most a part-time thing. I focus on my full-time, and I want to be able to do well with my full-time job because I want to be a director in esports. Like not just collegiate. I want to be a professional director in esports, working for teams like Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, heading their esports programs one day, and I have those ambitions still, and I want to be able to focus up at a point where that's where I want to be. This is a thing where I just enjoy the community. I want to chill with the community, have a good time, and really just enjoy Football Manager and other games. I know down the line I'll do different stuff like Mass Effect. I'll go back to Mass Effect because that's the game that really mentally put me out of a bad space I was in and helped me through some crazy times, and I want to play the Legendary Edition and really just enjoy it with some people this time, just get a little bit of what I went through in the past and how I'm such a different person to where I was through that game in a way. And other cool games that I like to see and get into, just enjoy those. Enjoy and still play Football Manager. But yeah, like for example, we're gonna have a drunk Apex stream soon.
I can't wait.
That's gonna be hilarious because I don't usually play. I don't touch BRs, but I know my friends like Roger, Genesis, and Jerry plays a lot of BRs and plays a lot of shooters. And they get at me for not playing enough with them. It's like, you know what? All right, I'll get lit to do this.
You're gonna have to get lit to do it.
Yeah, so it will be a lit time. I won't overdrink. It will just be a lit time, drinking, playing Apex, trying to not feel like any more of a boomer than I am. And just overall, the main thing is enjoying times with my friends and the people I care about.
Nah, that sounds good, man. That sounds really good. So I guess in terms of, the Big Man on Campus channel, a Big Man on Campus 88. I always forget the 88 at the end.
I mean, it's the Big Man channel or Chuck. I mean,
Chuck's Campus.
Chuck's Campus. Yeah.
There we go. But I guess what's in the future for that then? Because personally, from what you're putting out on FM, I think if you carry on the way you're going, you could do really well in this space. I think you stream at a time which there's not many people on because it's sort of kind of outside the UK hours, but you still have those late lurkers coming in. You'll have those guys who are maybe up for a little bit after a Zealand stream and that American audience. And I feel like you could capture that time as your own if you were to progress with that. Personally, I think, you've got the energy and the vibe to be a really good figure in this space. But I guess, how do you envisage that channel going? Are you planning on keeping with the FM, or are you just gonna chop and change depending on how you're feeling on the day, sort of thing?
I'll still keep with the FM for now, and get to the games I want to get to in due time.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm getting FM 22. I'm gonna try to do my idea for FM 22 is actually doing the offline save I usually do with starting in the MLS and going from there as a journeyman. I'm gonna do it as a stream. So there's your big news.
Here we go, boys. You hit it first.
You heard it here first. FM save, journeyman. Anyway, but overall, it's just I'm gonna do what I feel is fun, and what I feel like the community want to get involved with. I'm a big wrestling fan. I also like to do watch parties sometime. September 5th is going to be an all-out thing in my Discord.
Yeah.
We're going to have an all-out watch party. That's going to be lit. And, just enjoy a community that, just likes to enjoy what I do and enjoy each other. And overall, have some more fun with it. I know I'm going to get involved in some more tournaments. As well, just for the hell of it. At this point in my life, I'm past being a true competitor in esports in the sense of playing.
Yeah,
I like to stay competitive and building great teams to win championships. But playing, nah, I'm good. But still be involved in tournaments because they're fun and they're chill. Well, I could be chill in it and just relax. I think that's like one of the big things about the FN community. I stuck onto the most, unlike other gaming communities like Call of Duty, even though I still catch up with their competitive scene to this day.
Yeah.
It's just not the same like it used to be. I don't know. It's just overall, and I still love Call of Duty community. I still am a active moderator for Karma, and I also mod time to time for TP, but I don't do so much anymore.
Yeah.
To the point it's like I'm surprised he still has me as a mod.
We slacking.
Mainly because of Warzone. I can't stand Warzone.
Fair.
I can't stand Warzone at all. He plays Apex a bit more, and I can somewhat stand it, but I'm not a BR guy. So, and that's another thing about Karma I love about. He will venture into different games, and they all will be interesting. Like Path of Exile, which is kind of like this. I don't know. It's like a type of maze game where it's like you fight through a bunch of different dungeons, I guess.
Yeah.
DayZ, another first-person shooter. He got big. He's gonna get into New World, which is that new MMO that's gonna come out soon.
Yeah.
That's already made impact. And just that's the thing. He's the gamer's gamer. Damon Karma Barlow. Like other big gamers in the esports space follow him because he's so good at just a game. And I hope one day he could get those numbers like he gets in Call of Duty and other games.
Yeah.
Back because he deserves it. He's a great guy. I respect him wholeheartedly. My favorite esports athlete for a long time, and to be able to know him as a player, and hopefully one day being able to meet him, his wife Holly, his kid Bella, and just say, "Dinner's on me. I want to meet y'all," and just I appreciate everything y'all do on me.
Yeah.
Let me finally get y'all back for all the things y'all done for me. And be able to thank them and some of the other people in like different Twitch communities, such as Zealand.
Yeah.
Another one, Tina, who I met through my job that I've gotten very cool with their community with.
Yeah.
And just overall appreciate the people who helped me get to this point. There's a lot of great people that I put a list towards wanting to give their thanks and appreciation to because I can't do this by myself. Like I have like it would be insane, and like it would be possible because just overall I'm very fortunate to get to this point in my life with different things for where I came from. Like 3 years ago, like when I took the job with the kids in my youth thing in 2017, I took a risk and I went to New York City again because I came from North Carolina where I was at a KFC doing cashier. Well, KFC Taco Bell. I was balancing those two restaurants at the same time because they're weird like that here in America. I went to a homeless shelter. And I remember the nights where I was in the cot just watching Damon play H1Z1 and, trying to get myself together, get myself a career. And it played as a halfway house where I got robbed multiple times and almost threatened. And that was a little bit of college as well. I was homeless as I went through that time in college in my life. But from there to this, you just you just learn that you need definitely the right people around you to help you through those crazy times. And I had real life people that helped me a lot too. I had like a great professors who would help me out with like money and food, and also fellow students that let me stay in their dorm for like a few months and chill and play like NBA 2K with them for hours. And that was also a big part of my time in Brooklyn when I was on the basketball team as a equipment manager, getting help from them staying in their place while I was trying to find my own, to playing my league for hours on end. And we just enjoyed those vibes and the relationships I created, and some of the bridges I unfortunately burned, but overall the people I've really went through to this day. And I still have a lot to do with myself. I still have weight to lose. As one of the channel commands, as you see, it's like different exercises that I do. And I still have to improve as a director and balance this and being a director out and understand priorities and get better with myself with that. And just really, there's still a lot of struggle within that I have to work on. But, you know, like my boss would tell me, progress. I'm making some progress, but there's still work to go. And I have to work at it and really actually match the words with the action, Charles. I would try to say to myself to get better at this. And I'm fortunate to do a good job with this and people enjoy what I do. But I know I still have a ways to go before I can feel like I'm really at a place where I want to be.
Yeah, I get that, and I mean, I appreciate you sharing that stuff with me and the audience. Direct, obviously, not an easy thing to talk about or bring up, but I guess it's one of them. It depends on your perspective, right? You can either look ahead and think about all the progress that you're yet to make, or look back and think about all the progress that you have made. And if you look at the progress you have made, you know, you're talking about, you know, being in a homeless shelter, and all of that stuff to now, you know, you've got that career that you sort of want mapping as we speak. You've got a community of your own on Twitch that's really do appreciate you and what you do. Like, I've been in your community. It's weird to experience something that tight knit when the person there is not already very, very established, like on the level of Zealand, and that sort of thing. So I think you've got a lot of things that are going for you right now, and obviously there is progress to make. I think everyone's always got progress to make, but I think by what I'm seeing and what you're saying, it's looking like the progress is definitely well underway. And whilst, you know, we're not where not where maybe we ideally want to be yet, we're certainly a lot better place to get there than we were maybe, you know, a few years ago. So it's perspective, right? But yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing a lot of that sort of thing with me. But I did want to touch back onto the point where you said you really like wrestling, man. I'm still not over Bray Wyatt, bro.
Oh gosh! These releases these last few months with people like Strowman, Riot, among others, Joe leaving and coming back to NXT. It shows a power struggle that has been filtering out these last few days between Triple H and not even Vince McMahon, but the people that would potentially replace Vince McMahon.
Yeah, like Nick Khan.
Within Nick Khan, well, not even Nick Khan, like Bruce Pritchard and Laurinaitis, and like those two against Triple H to a point where it looks to see that they're trying to use Triple H's NXT failure against AEW when they were both on Wednesdays as a catalyst towards getting him out of the company entirely, which is nuts.
Considering it was the best product.
Right. Like, it was the more... Look. When I got into NXT around 2016, and when I got back into wrestling, as a kid, I loved wrestling, the Attitude Era, WCW, like, those Monday Night Wars were, like, compelling to watch. Sting and Austin and The Rock was my favorite wrestlers, and I played games like WCW NWO Revenge. No Mercy is still my favorite wrestling game of all time. I still believe it to be the best wrestling game of all time to this day. It just had a balance of great career modes and gameplay that still, to me, is sort of unmatched in wrestling games. And just overall, and then slowly I got out of it as I got older. But then the Cruiserweight Classic, which was a Triple H invention, and NXT itself around 2016 really pushed me back in it. Yeah. I remember that summer watching the Cruiserweight Classic the way I did, and just in a friend's, and again, helped through another friend. It was at a friend's house that I was staying with after I graduated, sleeping on the floor, using my laptop, watching that through some bootleg site, but just falling in love with it, and, you know, overall getting towards the point of me getting truly back into wrestling. And I thought NXT was the brand. Yes, it was called the third brand at one point, but it was the brand to me, because I didn't think Raw or SmackDown was doing a good job really convincing me that was worth watching. Yeah. And they're still not. Yeah, no. SmackDown was for a little bit, but then how the hell they're doing with Roman. Like Roman's been before these last few weeks.
Yeah.
Roman was the most compelling thing in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like the most compelling single person in wrestling. The heel turn was brilliant.
When it was, I think it was the I Quit match between him and Jimmy Uso, I believe, and Jey Uso come in. I could be getting the Usos mixed up, but I think we all do that. And comes in, and then Roman sits down and he's like crying, like, I don't know who I am anymore. That was so fucking good. That was so fucking good.
It proves, like, to me, yes, we have these actors today that came from wrestling, like The Rock, John Cena, among others. But, like, I think Roman's the best actor of all of them. I think Roman made this character his own the best. He really gave the emotions the best. And, you know, when you really unleash the creativity that Roman Reigns had as a heel, he took it, ran with it, and really made it his own. You know how Paul Heyman, one of the most known managers, advocators in their game today, would be this talking piece for most of these other wrestlers, like Brock Lesnar, for example. Brock didn't talk, and when he did, wasn't that good.
Don't give a shit.
But like, he doesn't talk much in them.
Yeah.
When they first go in the ring, he hands the mic over to Roman Reigns and let him do what he does, and that's something you don't see every day out of Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
He's the guy that really talking, the mouthpiece for the said wrestler for the most part. The wrestler gets one or two lines in. Roman is truly his own mouthpiece, and he's working that mouthpiece towards Paul.
Yeah.
And that's so unique. That's so rare to see. And the way he worked with the Usos, you know, putting them against each other and now together, and that whole storyline, and I thought it had potential when John Cena came in, and then I heard about the promo he made last night on SmackDown. Wasn't very good. Didn't make any sense. And it's just, this is WWE messing up something good again because other people liked it. They didn't really show you the creators. I can't believe this mess.
Same old story, bro. But no, I can't believe they got rid of Wyatt, man. I think maybe they're in their current product. They don't want guys who are potentially going to be bigger than them, like, you know, Austin, Cena, The Rock. I think they're looking at more people who are willing to be put in that place rather than try and carve their own way, which is disappointing, man. Because I think Bray Wyatt was probably the best thing about the product right now, apart from NXT.
I think, like, they try to stunt. Creative's a mess. I think creative has such a disconnect between the actual wrestlers they create from, and even when they try to put it together, people like Vince either don't get it or don't feel like they can main event a WrestleMania. I mean, remember, like, the rumors for Bronson Reed of why he was released after his good stint as North American champion looked like to be pushed even further with a match against Adam Cole. Said that because of his failed dark matches, apparently, that was tryouts for the main roster. It's like, if he's not going to be in the main roster, why have him around anyway? And just promptly released him without Triple H's or Shawn Michaels knowing.
Fucking insane.
It's just a very much deep divide within the company on what good wrestling is. And it's not going to end until... And you think it will end when Vince finally retires, but even then...
He's not going to retire. The only way he drops out is if he dies. Let's not beat around the bush here, Chuck.
I'll just say retire for the good.
Same thing.
When he finally leaves the company, truly, and supposedly leave it off with Triple H, which is not even a 100% thing anymore. No. It's up to the grabs.
Everyone assumed that would be the case until like 2-3 weeks ago.
Exactly. And now it's more than ever up for grabs between Triple H and Laurinaitis and Pritchard. And it's a whole bleep show there that, like, the company will survive, but will it beat out AEW down the line?
AEW is looking solid, man. Like, they're going to get Daniel Bryanson in. Punk looks set to sign. If Wyatt and Strowman end up there, which I think will be the case. I am still thinking is Wyatt's release a work, because there are a few anomalies in that release for me, which indicate that it could be. But again, I think I'm wishful thinking. Well, every other release, they named the wrestler's real name. They didn't do that with Wyatt. No mention of the Fiend. In the release, which, you know, it was the big selling point, and obviously the merchandise was insane from Wyatt. It doesn't make sense to, but then if you go to sort of Wyatt's social media, every other release had to put something out, one thing or another, and he didn't put anything out. There was you know, that little scene where somebody put back the last episode of the Funhouse saying it looked like he was foreshadowing his release. He responded with a red circle, maybe indicating we're going to come in full circle. Maybe that's one way that you could interpret it. And yeah, again, just on the night Randy Orton coincidentally returns, that's the only other time he's posted. And you know, when you put those things together, it does make you think, is it a work? I'm 90% sure he's gone, but there's that 10% in me that won't die.
Well, like, it's a fascinating thought in a way, but it's like, and WWE has turned actual releases to turning around in storylines. Like Drake Maverick, for example, he was good at release, but then his showing in the NXT Cruiserweight tournament and ended up at the end for him to get his job back, in a sense. Yeah. And some people truly thought it was work from the inside that Drake didn't really know, because the emotional ass video that this dude put out when he was released, wearing a WWE shirt, which was kind of
sussy,
kind of odd, but overall, like, it's not far for them to do what you're talking about. Yeah, I think people also thought Moxley being released was a work as well for a long time, but then he showed up in AEW, Double or Nothing, and ended up being one of the biggest attractions in wrestling ever since. And overall, for me, I think he's gone. I think that roster in AEW has to be careful. They now have Rampage an extra hour. They do have the Dark on YouTube with Dark and Dark Elevation, but they still have to be careful of putting too much towards their roster. Yeah. Honestly, at least their male roster. I think they still need a lot more work on the women's roster. Yeah, 100%. But it's so hard to find the top women right now. But overall with Riot, I think honestly he's gone. I think honestly AEW could be an option, but I think Impact could use a top star like Riot on the regular, and he can still work with other companies, kind of like what Chelsea Green has as a deal going to Impact. I think Wyatt would either be AEW or New Japan, personally. New Japan would definitely love to use his creativity. Yeah, because they're all about that creative side. I think they're more about the strict technical side. There is exceptions like Evil and what Evil did before going to Bullet Club, and also a couple other people here and there, but they haven't really had that sense of creativity in their stories besides the great wrestling they do in the ring. Yeah, like, they tell great stories. I don't think they've had that creative character since Jericho was last there. Right, since the Paymaker, yeah. And if they could pull off getting Riot and have his, like, do what you want creative wise and just let him release himself. That sounds terrible. Let him unleash his creativity through New Japan in ways that can really help them feel like there's great stories outside the ring as well as inside, because it's already faded. Like, he can get, like, some of these wrestlers are so good at getting matches out of wrestlers that aren't as technically gifted. Yeah. Tanahashi, Okada, the Rabid Bulldog.
I'll come to you.
Anyway, they have a great technical base that New Japan has overall. That will give a story, any story they want to tell within the ring. Outside it, there isn't many that really showing a really great story. Like, some people like it that way, but you know, to show more diversity as a wrestling, AEW's kind of changing the way. They're showing different parts of wrestling through their shows. Whether you like the hardcore stuff where they did with Nick Gage versus Jericho and one of his labors, or the death matches that John Moxley's involved in, or the technical wrestling of or technical wrestlers and high flyers, the Lucha Brothers, and the Young Bucks give towards their type of like wacky but still solid wrestling. And as well as Orange Cassidy. And overall, they are showing their diverse product in many different ways. And I think that's going to help change companies to show more of a diverse product. And Bray Wyatt to New Japan will help them towards showing that diverse side once they unleash the creativity. It's like what AlehStair Black is really showing real well right now in AEW.
Yeah.
Well, as Malachi Black, but
obviously.
I think New Japan would be the most. I think it would make the most sense besides Impact.
It's interesting you say Impact. To be honest, I thought Wyatt would be a little bit too big for Impact. Not gonna, like.
Like with Impact, that gives them the opportunity to work also New Japan.
Yeah.
As well, work with AEW wrestlers, as you've seen with like potential now Christians coming back to Impact after becoming champion during the Rampage and I think overall, like getting the opportunity to work some dates and still be really kind of this top star. I don't think he'll get an opportunity as much to be a top star in that promotion these days as, if he went in the early days. If he went in the early days of AEW, he'll be up there.
Yeah.
I think these days there's just so much quality and they're showing the quality as well.
Yeah.
It risks him being lost in that mix.
I don't know if they played it right. I mean, if you introduce him as the leader of the Dark Order, which a lot of people didn't want a replacement for, but I think a lot of people would quite like Wyatt to be there, especially if that's reinforced with Braun Strowman coming in with him and taking that role as well. I think it could be a really interesting way to add that element that was unfortunately left by Brody Lee when he passed.
Yeah, true. I mean, I remember one of the Dark Order people confident saying that we may never have another leader in Dark Order again. And if Bray Wyatt becomes that leader with like Strowman may become his henchman too, maybe there's hope with that. I think that could be a very fascinating story of how Bray Wyatt comes in and make a difference in that sense of being that leader of the Dark Order.
How would you like to see him painted, though? Would you like to see him as sort of how he was pre The Fiend, where he's sort of this, it's not so much as an painted character, where it's more of an individual who is, I mean, how would you describe original Bray Wyatt? That sort of, I guess he gives me that sort of early 1900s cult leader vibe. Yeah. Or would you rather have him as this illustrious character with maybe a mask and having this sort of lore and backstory to him, similar to an Undertaker or a Kane, but a lot more painted and developed?
I think so I saw little tiny bits of what Bray Wyatt was in the past. I'm more I was around a bit more for the current Fiend version that we've seen these last few years. I kind of want to see him blend both in. I think in a way that does give him opportunity to blend both of that a bit more with the Dark Order.
Yeah.
And truly have them, but it's like Dark Order's at a weird point right now.
Yeah.
They just ended their kind of, togetherness with Hangman Page. Albeit, is it temporary? Is it permanent? And it kind of leads to a question of where does the Dark Order go next truly? Do they try to get themselves back with Page?
Yeah.
Or do they truly move on and surely go back to where originally they were?
Yeah.
An evil group of people put together. But the problem is, too, with AEW, and the issue is, there's a lot of heel factions these days.
Yeah.
There isn't enough face faction. You got Best Friends as a face faction. You have Inner Circle, who recently turned as a face faction. But you don't have much else where you have Hardy Family Cardbound. You have the Pinnacle, you have the Elite, you have a couple other factions who are facing. You have the tweeners, which is Death Triangle, who's kind of in between in a way as a faction. And you can also add Jurassic Express as sort of a face faction, but you really know them as just really a pure trio. That Christian is getting involved with it more and more, but overall, they kind of still need more face factions to really help balance that out.
I mean, they've got 2.5 months until Bro Wyatt's non-compete clause ends.
Yeah,
they have time. You could turn some faces.
Yeah, they could get other face factions together, but they still have to work on them getting over like the Dark Order is as a face faction. It's obvious that they're so over as it, and I think they're the most over face faction right now. They're even more over than Best Friends, which has been hard to do, but they pull it off.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is that great story that's being told with Hangman Page and the Elite throughout the years, and them really pulling the Dark Order in, even before Brady Lee's unfortunate passing, was just, brilliant storytelling with all the wrestlers involved.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like one of my favorite parts of AEW. Such amazing, long storm, dedicated storytelling.
It feels so naughty, WWE. I can't remember, name 2 long-term storylines of WWE. The only one I can think of is Reigns and...
In the main roster.
Yeah.
NXT had a couple of good ones with Johnny Gargano versus Ciampa.
Yeah, obviously.
And the way that also it interwoven with the... with Gargano versus Cole, that was a good long storyline a little bit as well. But main roster, no. Main roster, they want to do quick, fast, hit hard from the beginning, or it's dumped. It's gone.
Yeah.
And some of the solid wrestlers that they could have done so much more with.
And if they have one good pay-per-view, that's what we're going to see for the next 2.
Exactly.
I was so sick of seeing Owens versus Reigns. In the end,
rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch.
Even at SummerSlam, we're seeing Belair Banks rematch. I don't really want to see that again.
Look. Press example. This year's set of pay-per-views from the one before WrestleMania to WrestleMania Backlash. So many similar matches through those times.
Yeah, and
it's just. You think they end the rematch clause because they're supposed to end the rematch clause, but no. We have the contenders eliminator. What are we doing here? And that's where the rankings of AEW help make a difference for that program.
Yeah. Because
they, as much as you think they don't go with it, they do, actually. Because you don't see many rematches.
No.
You see a different mix of wrestlers coming up and getting title matches. Like, for example, Fuego del Sol getting his butt handed to him on Rampage against Miro. Or Jon Moxley's run of titles where he faced different people in and out. The rankings, it may not seem it matter, but it does. They use that in ways towards that's a bit more subtle these days to help see number one contenders and top wrestlers in that age, in that time, to help get those matches going. And soon enough, it will help build towards interesting. I just my thing too about that women's division is hopefully they can get that superstar that will inject it like a Chris Jericho superstar that can help truly push that division to new heights, because they have a lot of potential people. Even Britt Baker, who's sort of a star right now, but to get it towards superstar status, you really need that current established one to help them launch it.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful they can find a way to get that over there, because it's costing them a better division. Because I think the best women's division right now is Impact Knockouts division.
Yeah.
I think Impact Knockouts.
Who would you bring in? Realistic target would you right now say you bring that person in and it elevates the division?
Which everything's going on. And I'm sort of still iffy on even saying it, but Charlotte Flair.
Do you think she's realistic, though?
Yes. I think at a time like this, the way they ended with Ric Flair and how and how her future husband Andrade kind of ended their time at WWE. She's looking around, and she's done everything multiple times there.
Yeah.
Like, she's multiple times champion in every title that is known in the women's division. She's even on a multiple time tag team champion. That tag team title was still recent.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like she's done everything there. And then it was just the whole thing with controversy after controversy with that company trying to, put her in positions that in a way she doesn't deserve to be, because she's just trying to be a good worker.
Yeah.
Like, it all started for me is breaking Asuka's streak.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania, and then how that was booked.
It was booked.
And how that was, and then overall there was the rise of Becky Lynch and stuff, and then just the overall mess. Like I said, I'm iffy on it myself, because I think overall too is that some of it is kind of on how she acts a little bit, but. And how that would react towards that women's division in AEW. But I honestly believe, like, even more these days, her taking the pin, for example, to Nikki ASH.
Yeah.
I think it worked. I think she can make that division, could give the injection that division needs. And I put her booking decisions at the end of the day more on creative, doing weird creative things, because there's been proof of otherwise, such as Nikki ASS was mostly her idea, she says, and I think still a bit weird on it. But overall, I think honestly, there's a lot of potential to have her inject that superstar in that division.
Well, I thought you'd come with AJ Lee, because
I don't think she's coming back.
With Punk being there, though, I feel like that would be the most likely time, and I think she's someone who could inject that stardom whilst, like, I feel like Charlotte Flair would at some point still get booed in an AEW ring, because the way that WWE pandered to her to kind of speed run her through to matching Ric Flair's title wins. But
yeah, I think, and I haven't really seen much of AJ Lee's work.
Yeah.
Because that was that time I wasn't really focused on wrestling.
Yeah.
I didn't really have an idea what happened to that women's division unless I looked back in the history on YouTube. And I know AJ Lee was real good at. I heard she was real good at what she did.
Yeah.
But I remember, because she's married to Punk.
Yeah.
And I remember how Punk got kicked and how that really broke her out of wrestling. And I haven't really heard anything from her about going back into the ring since.
That is very
I think
true.
she's done.
Maybe, but I think maybe with Punk heading back, it could.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I guess we're at the 1 hour 25 minute mark here.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else you want to talk about, Chuck?
Overall, I just want to thank you for being on.
Oh, no worries.
I appreciate this community letting me in the way it has, and I've been fortunate to be a part of these things, and just really I appreciate the people that helped me get here through my time streaming, such as Zealand letting me in his community in the way as a mod, and Karma originally, and Tiffy for helping him out as well years later, and Tina for letting me to that other part of the community. At point was Fortnite, then she moved to different games as well.
Yeah.
Tina, Maddie, and just all these different streamers and mods and people throughout the years in my life, I appreciate just to get to this point, and I want to be able to keep going and make sure that I can pay them back in different ways down the line and be helpful to them even more.
Sounds good, man. Well, I guess parting words for me, I think I really like the stuff that you're coming out with, which is a large reason why I asked you to be here today. Appreciate you coming on, and yeah, just keep it up, man. Again, I don't see anyone in the FM scene really that rivals the energy that you bring on a stream regularly. Your community is really, really solid. I think you've got a good foundation to build on, and yeah, just keep going, man, because I think it could be a really good space for you to come in and exploit on that.
Yep. A shout out to Chester. SPD is gone. It's okay, and we can move on without him. Shout out to Henry as well, and Roger, and Awesome Pats, who's another mod, and Genesis. We're like this mod trio for Karma, and like they've been like some of my closest friends throughout the year on Twitch, and I appreciate them a lot. And Glowing Mist has been great to me too. She helped me a lot through understanding Twitch more, and with her streams been vibey. So go watch Glowing Mist as well, and Roger SKRT. Thank you.
Yeah, no. Hopefully they've made it to the end of this after our long wrestling chat. Wasted Possession is still football themed, guys, for anyone who's wondering. But yeah, I guess that brings us to a wrap here. Thank you very much for watching. Big thanks again to Chuck for staying on. Leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.